Good morning. Good afternoon. My name is JoJo. I'm a very grateful, very fortunate alcoholic. And I don't think you're going to have any problem hearing me, right? Because I'm a loud talking mama. I was loud talking when I was drunk. Can you believe that? Anyway, I'm glad to be here. Really, I'm glad to be here because they had me, when they said that I was lost, I was really lost. The committee has me down as JoJo Smith, and I don't know who that is. But it didn't matter because they were trying to find me on the computer, and they kept asking for Smith, and there's no Smith because I'm Scott. Then we got here to the hotel, and we were going to try to find our reservations, and the young man said, well, we only have reservations for Mr. James L. Smith. I said, that's probably me. It was. So I wanted to check, and I looked down, and I thought, well, she's still a woman. I knew I was in the right place. I mean, this is truly Alcoholics Anonymous. That's the only place we really fuck up at like that, you know. I guess there's a couple of things I need to say before I get started, like thank the committee anyway, you know, for asking me to come. Thanks, Rosemary, for coming out to the airport a couple of times. I guess God wanted me to be here, because I'm here. Houston wasn't bad, though, I tell you. They put me up in a hotel in Boston. You know, anybody bought me dinner, I made love all night long. That's what I was when I was drunk. Sometimes they didn't buy me dinner. So to be in Houston, and they offered me $10 for some dinner, I said, hello. This is like old, and a hotel room that they paid for too. This is like old times. Only difference is I slept by myself. Yes, I was lonely, men, but it was okay. I made a phone call. It made it all right. I called my husband. But anyway, I guess there's a couple of things I still need to say. Because I'm one of those people that, as you will see, that I'm not an intellectual speaker. I don't speak from my head. I speak from my gut. And I get maybe, speak from my heart. Because I found for me that I need to be me. And I found that if I talk from my guts, I'm more capable of staying sober and feeling secure and comfortable with my feelings than trying to say some words that I don't even understand what they mean. I mean, there were certain words that I had to memorize when I got here in order to pronounce them, like anonymity, Alcoholics Anonymous. I had to learn how to memorize because I did not know how to pronounce those words. And I would get into front of the podium. I could read a little bit, but I could get in front of the podium and I get real scared. Like they're really going to know, JoJo, that you didn't graduate from high school, so memorize the words so you can sound like you was a high school graduate. So I would memorize the words. I'm also one of those people that tell it like it is. I mean, I don't try to cover up anything to make it sound good to you. It didn't look good to me and it didn't feel good to me, and that's the way I shared in Alcoholics Anonymous. That's just the way it is. And I would like to share it. I would like to present the image that yes, I have it together and yes, I know how to articulate, but when I get into my pitch, I don't articulate. I talk. And my husband often say, JoJo, if you just go up there and stand behind the podium and just look and don't say nothing, nobody will know. Don't open up your mouth. They said, but if you open up your mouth, that's it. They know you're an alcoholic, you know. Now, I'm here to tell you that I got to Alcoholics Anonymous when I was 23 years old, and I didn't want to be here either. I looked around, and my friend was talking about, Diane was talking about the older people. Now, there really was a bunch of old people when I got here, because there wasn't but 8. And I looked around, and I thought, Lord have mercy. You know, I said, and I want what they got. No, I wanted, there was a couple of men that was there, and they were talking about they own the grocery stores. I said, yes, I want that, you know. I got to tell you, the way I looked, you know, I looked around this room when I first walked in the room, and I looked around at the people, and I can't even tell if there's any newcomers in this room. Now, see, if that had been 13 years ago when I made my very first meeting, everybody would have turned around when I walked through the door, and they would have said, we got one. We got us a newcomer. Here she comes. Because I looked like an alcoholic, I acted like an alcoholic, and I smelled like an alcoholic. You know, if you don't smell like an alcoholic, you usually can't tell them. You know? But I'm one of those people that I smelled like an alcoholic. I was one of those people that couldn't take baths, couldn't comb my hair. I had alcoholic paralysis. I couldn't walk. I didn't know how many of y'all noticed that I came in here on my own 2 legs. As a lady shared with me just a minute ago, she said it's important that I tell you that my socks match my outfit. So I know do just what she said do, you know, and I put my leg up. Now I know that's not ladylike, but I didn't say I was a lady, did I? This is not Ladies and Gentlemen Anonymous, this is Alcoholics Anonymous. Thank you. But I lost my train of thought bullshitting like that. You see how I am? Oh, I remember. Anyway, you know, when I got here, it was like, you knew I was an alcoholic. I weighed about 85 pounds, maybe 90 pounds. I had alcoholic paralysis. My eyes had sunken back into my head. My teeth was broke. These are not my teeth. I paid for them. They're mine now. But, I mean, you knew I was an alcoholic. You know, I look around the room today, and they tell me that this disease is not prejudice, but something tells me that you don't know anything about black alcoholism. I know there's 1 or 2 of us in the room, but that sure is sad, ain't it? But you see, the miracle is that I'm happy that I'm here, and I know that they should be happy that they're here, because alcoholism, they say, doesn't have a color barrier, but you look around the room and you have to convince me of that. Okay, you have to convince me. Because, see, I see them die every day. See, and I know that alcoholism is taking this toll out there. And I know that people don't make it to Alcoholics Anonymous, and my question is why? You know, why? Where's the messages? Where are the people? And I know today that my primary purpose in life is to carry the message of Alcoholics Anonymous. And no matter where I go, no matter what I do, no matter what I say, if you talk to me within 5 minutes, you know I'm an alcoholic and I don't drink. And you know I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I break my anonymity at the drop of a hat. I don't have any reasons not to. I'm not professional. That's my whole thing. And I believe that if hadn't been somebody breaking their anonymity to me, JoJo would not be behind this podium today sharing, because I would be dead. Because I'm one of those people who drank and used just the way I looked when I got here. I'm a garbage can alcoholic and an addict. That means that I use. I know this is Alcoholics Anonymous, and I will respect that, but I'm also an addict. I used any and everything that came by my mouth. And the only reason that I'm sober in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous today is because 12 years ago there was a woman that broke the man-made traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous and shared about her drug usage, shared about where she had come from, what she had did, and I sat out in the podium, and for 9 months I had been around these meetings. I hadn't heard my story. This girl was not black, she was white. And I heard what I needed to hear, and I went up after the podium, after the meeting, and I said, you know what, I can't stay sober. She said, what do you mean you can't stay sober? I said, well, I'm not drinking. I haven't had a drink since I went to my very first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, but I am not sober. I don't have what you have. She said, in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I want to repeat that again, in Alcoholics Anonymous, we don't drink, and we don't smoke dope, and we don't shoot drugs, and we don't pop pills. That's called sobriety. I said, I want what you have. She says, well, if you want what I have a day at a time, you got to stand up in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, raise your hand and say that you're a newcomer again. I said, but wait a minute. You don't understand. I ain't drank nothing. She said, well, all you simply did was have a drink. What else you got going for yourself? I had a little weed in my purse right then. I said, well, let me go home and smoke this joint and I'll call you up and tell you about it. But I changed my sobriety date, changed it. From February the 15th to November the 3rd of 1975. I stood up in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous and I said, my name is JoJo and I'm an alcoholic and an addict and I want what you people have. And I haven't found it necessary to take a drink, drop a pill, smoke a joint, shoot me dope since that time. It's been 12 and a half years. Alcoholics Anonymous works. And it works good. You know, it works good. If you want what Alcoholics Anonymous have, you just got to do what the people in Alcoholics Anonymous tell you to do. That's simply don't drink and don't use. And if you're not drinking and you're making meetings and you're still going home doing some of the other stuff, you don't have sobriety. You're just simply not drinking. You know, and there will come a time, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous tells me that there will come a time that you will have no mental effective defense against that first drink. That defense must come from the power greater than yourself. And if you don't believe in God, you better believe in the power of the people in Alcoholics Anonymous. That's the only thing that you can hold on to when you get in a place like that. And they tell me that Alcoholics Anonymous is not powerful. It is very powerful in here. Very powerful. I can come to a meeting and I can make it to the next day just on the power of Alcoholics Anonymous. Just from the people's smiles and the pats on the back. And the warm handshakes and people telling me, JoJo, we love you, keep coming back. And they didn't understand me because, see, today I act like I got good sense. Okay? 13 years ago, you knew something was wrong with that girl. They tell you don't mess with that girl. That girl's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And my drinking and using had got me into a place that it was intolerable for me. I had the kind of mind that 1,000 thoughts was going through at the same minute and I couldn't keep up with none of them. And my head was just zooming, you know. And I was saying, damn, what was I just thinking? What was going on in my head? And I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up, I had dreams, aspirations, and hopes. Things that I wanted to do, places I wanted to go, and people I wanted to see, and of all the things, I wanted to be somebody. I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I know I wanted to be something that when I walked down the street, people could point at me and say, you know her? Everybody know her. That's JoJo. And when I was walking down the street, they weren't pointing at me, talking about, do you know her? Not in that town. They knew me. They were saying, if you know her, you better not go by her. See, I carried some things down the street with me that wasn't common cold or the flu. And when I gave it away, I gave it all away. Whatever I had, you got. I'm so glad I don't do that today, because I have to be honest with you, I know that I would be one of those people, and it's not to put down anyone that know anyone. Believe me, my heart goes out to them. I just know the kind of person that I am. I would be one of your people who have already died from AIDS. You know, because see, that became a pattern of my life. I've been to the health clinic 9 times, and neither time did I have a cold. You see, I know what kind of person I am. When I was 13 years old, I had already been out on the streets for almost a year, turning tricks. At 14 years old, I left home and I went to get my own apartment. At 14 and 15 years old, I had a whole bunch of people in my hometown coming over. You know, we had a 7-day-a-week party. You know, and in the early 60s, when I was at that age, I was doing a lot of acid at that time and a lot of mescaline and stuff like that. You know, and there wasn't a time that you couldn't come in my house. There wasn't a punch bowl spike full of acid. And I would let them know what it was, you know, and I said, and if you don't drink, you got to go. You know, that kind of stuff. I was one of the people that at, 15, 16 years old, already had a reputation in my hometown. And I come from a real small area, Lima, Ohio. It's real tiny there. Everybody know everybody's grandmama. You know, been raised with them. You know, they know the whole lifeline. And at 15 and 16 years old, I had the little boys that didn't want to be bothered with me anymore. They were saying to me, JoJo, you know what, you ain't no good at 15, 16 years old. You know. And by this time, I had gotten my street connections together. I was out there doing things that most people don't even dream of doing. I mean, if they dream of doing, and some of them do them, they usually go back home as fast as they can, but I decided, this is the life for me. And I chose my little pimp that I was supposed to have, who was going to take care of me, and I ended up taking care of him. And I don't know about you women, but I was always the kind of woman that judged men by the way they dressed, the kind of clothes they wore, and the cars they drove. And I ain't never had a man that ever had a car. See, my idea of a man was I wanted this man that wore this pink suit and broke down hat and king-size shoes. Drove a lone Cadillac. And I used to have to lend him 50 cents to get on the bus to come to where I was, to collect the money, as if I had made a whole lot of money. And it's important for me to tell you now, I am not one of those street women that got out there and hustled and made it big. No, baby. I didn't get wild till I got in Alcoholics Anonymous. I was one of your little nickel and dime prostitutes. Now, it's important that I share some of that with you. Because, see, what happened is that when I did get into Alcoholics Anonymous, and they were telling me in the very beginning of the meetings that I was going to, before I got clean and sober, your life will change. And see, I knew when I got here I had no self-esteem, and I knew I had no self-respect, and I also knew I had no self-dignity. But they told me that if I kept coming back to these meetings, that Alcoholics Anonymous will afford me those items. I didn't know what they were, but I knew I wanted them. I wanted to feel like a lady. I wanted to be able to act like a lady. And sometimes I wanted to be able to look like one, like today. It wasn't always like this. It wasn't always like this for me. I got to Alcoholics Anonymous and I started making meetings. And I want to show you the difference between self-dignity and self-respect, or self-esteem, whatever one you want to call it. But I was still turning tricks in Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's important that I tell you, if you're new and you feel like you can't make it because you got them other things to do those other things. I'm not telling you don't do that. All we ask in here, the only requirement for membership is an honest desire to stop drinking and using. You are then a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. You can be one of the classiest whores in the world. You can still come to Alcoholics Anonymous. I thought if you found out what I was doing, you was going to put me out. And I was so lucky, though, because we only had 4 meetings in my hometown, and I had this young man. Well, he was a member of Alcoholics Anonymous who would come 45 miles out the way to pick me up on the corner where I was working, take me to an AA meeting, and drop me back off. And they would do that on a constant basis, and I would say, I'll see you Thursday at the same corner, same time. I'll be right here. And I would go to the meetings, and I'd cheer about, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and they were so kind, loving, and patient. And they would say, JoJo, you keep coming back. One day your life is going to change. And I kept hearing that, and I was like, wow, my life is going to change. I can't wait. Then something struck me after being around here about 30 days of not drinking. Now, you're talking about getting some self-dignity. 30 days I was laying in my bed one night, and you know how we have these brain attacks? And I was laying in my bed, and my head told me, JoJo, you ain't drinking no more. And you don't have to turn no more $10 tricks. Why don't you give yourself a raise? So my next John comes through, and I said, listen. I said, look, I'm sober, you get your money's worth, and I'm taking care of myself, and I want a raise. I said, I want to double the amount, okay? He said, okay. I said, wow. Jesus Christ, so I tried it on the other one. Not only did they pay, but they kept coming back. I said, all right. So I went to the meetings, and I shared in the meetings, and I said, you know what? Alcoholics Anonymous really works. You guys told me it was going to work, and it is working. And nobody told me, girl, that you crazy or what. You know, nobody said that to me. They said, JoJo, keep coming back. So we need you here. I said that I need you, you know. But see, now I want to tell you, there was no self-esteem. But I kind of raised that dignity up. And that was like a step forward for me. You see, I'm one of those people who believe that if you don't have to work this program will work you. All you got to do is make the commitment that you want to stay clean and sober. Because there came a time in my life, in the first year of my sobriety, where my head told me the same brain attack told me, you can't do this no more. You're going to have to try to find you a real job. Because, see, I could lay down, but the getting up was a bitch. You know what I mean? When I got up, I brought some feelings with me. See, when I lay down, them feelings are kind of dormant. But when I got up, those feelings were inside of me, and I kind of icked up, you know, and I said, ooh, God. And then one day it happened. You know, I thought, you know what? I got to start, and I got to do what's right for me. Not for anybody else, I got to do what's right for me. And I ran down to the unemployment office, and I put in some applications. And sure, I wasn't in high school. I had quit school in the 8th grade. I didn't have anything going for myself. You know, and I said, but I'm willing to start right here. You know, and my first job I found in Alcoholics Anonymous paid $2.15 an hour. You know, but it was where I began. It was the beginning for me. It was the road to where I never thought this road would end up where I'm at today. You know, and I've gone into a lot of things since I've been sober, and entrepreneurship and stuff like that. I'm still involved heavily in stuff like that, but that's just where I'm at. But I look at things a lot different than I did when I first got here. You know, because I was a user, I was a manipulator. And today, see, I know I don't have to do that to anybody no more. Because I don't want to be manipulated and I don't want to be used. You know, God has given me that insight today. And I tell you, it has truly been a learning experience. There was a lot of things that I wanted in my life, and they were material things. And I never knew how desperate and how hungry I was for a spiritual life until I had celebrated 365 days in this program. And that's something I'd like to share with you, what it's like to be in the first year of your sobriety. I know a lot of you know, but a lot of us forget what it's like. You see, I was so sick because alcoholism is not only a mental and emotional disease, but it is also a physical disease. And my disease was physical, you know, because it had crippled me. My alcoholism had crippled me to the point where I couldn't sleep at night and I couldn't eat. And I was 9 months clean and sober on this program when I sit down at a breakfast. And I had 2 eggs, some bacon, toast and jelly, and a tall glass of cold milk. And I was 9 months clean and sober, and I was able to sit there and eat that breakfast and not jump up and run to the bathroom like I had been doing for so long with the dry heave. I can tell you almost when they left. And I remember eating that food and crying because I hadn't been able to eat like that in a long time. I remember being 6 months clean and sober on this program and sleeping all night long. 9.5 hours I slept. That was not me because I was a woman that got up at 2 or 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning and I had this monkey on my back. I could not sleep. I could not rest. I was restless. And I just, you know, I was not a reader. So I just ate all night long. My heart ached. My head hurt. Insomnia. My withdrawals was a bitch. They lasted almost a year. And I just don't see anybody like me. And I'm glad. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad. I'm glad you didn't have to go down as far as I did. And I hope none of you ever have to do that. But there's some of us that have, and some of you have even went farther than I have, which is believe me, my privilege. Okay, because I had my share of what it's like. You know, I was so low down that getting up just didn't cross my mind. And when you're 23 years old, 20, 21, and 22, and you try to think of a life for yourself, who in the hell gonna bounce you home and say, look, Ma, what I found? They wasn't doing it to me. You know, my hopes, my aspirations, and my dreams was to someday find that man that was going to take me home and introduce me to his family and put me in my own house, and we're going to have a bunch of babies running around calling me Mama. And I knew that wasn't going to happen because at 19 years old I had surgery, and they had told me, I'm sorry, but it was necessary that we take some organs out, some of the necessities that you need in order to conceive a child, so you will never be able to have a baby. That just blew me away. You know, at 19 years old, I came out of the hospital with a lot of hatred and a lot of vengeance inside of me. Even to the point that I decided men was my problem. What I needed was to turn my whole life into a different world. So I entered into the world of homosexuality. I became quote-unquote gay. You know, at 19 years old. And I don't think it had anything to do with the loneliness or I was very lonely. But it had a lot to do with the resentment and the aggravation and discussion that I had with the God of my choosing and the world in general. And me not understanding who I was, what I was, or where I was coming from. You know. And I'm telling you, Alcoholics Anonymous works. Because I got to you people in a pair of blue jeans, some boots, and an old bebop hat. And they wasn't calling me JoJo. That one name had dropped. They were calling me Joe, and I was talking out the side of my neck. Real cool. Real hip, slick, and cool. You know. And I tell you that there was no hope in my life. I just knew I was going to die. My family knew I was going to die. They had got some insurance on me just in case I did. Because I didn't have no insurance. They had said, JoJo, if you die, we'd have to turn your body over to the county because we can't even afford to put you away. You know, they had got some insurance out for me. And all my life I had sought my family's approval, especially my mom. I wanted her approval so bad to validate my life. You know, she had had these 6 girls and 3 boys, and here I was, 7th child, and I was always compared to, why couldn't you be like so-and-so and so-and-so? And I had a younger sister who they thought turned out to be just exactly what they thought she would be. A nice little young lady who ran off and married the right fellow, and they, you know, all that shit, you know? And they were always comparing me to Max. Why couldn't you have been like Max? It took me 6 years into sobriety to discover why I wasn't like Max. Because I ain't Max. You know, even in those first 6 years of sobriety, I was still trying to be like Max. And it finally dawned on me, girl, your name is JoJo, not Maxine. And, you know, and I say, well, it was like a rude awakening to discover at 6.5 years old, but you ain't Maxine. You know what I'm saying? And so I know why, you know. And I got here. And you told me I could do anything. I could be anybody I wanted to be. All I had to do was believe in you and believe in myself. And I didn't have no choice because there was nothing to believe in me. I came to you and it didn't matter that I was gay. You didn't put me out of the meetings because I was gay. You told me to sit down. This seat belongs to you. The only requirement is that, do you want to stop drinking? I said, yes, I want to stop drinking. They said, well, sit down. That's all that this is required of you. They didn't probe, and they didn't pry, and they didn't try to get off into a lot of stuff because I was a volunteer talker anyway. I told them all what they needed to know. You know? But I'm just one of those people that Alcoholics Anonymous did a miracle with, miraculously. They changed me. Even to the point that I came out of those blue jean pants and put on a dress. I remember the first time I wanted to feel, when I was feeling feminine, and I wanted to look feminine. And I ran off to J.J. Newberry's to buy me a tube of lipstick. Now you want to talk about another miracle? When you didn't even own a toothbrush when you got to Alcoholics Anonymous, and you're going to J.J. Newberry's to get you a tube of lipstick so that you can, because inside of your head you want to look and feel pretty. I remember saying, I don't like this color, I don't like that color. I had the goddamn choice. 69-cent tube of lipstick. But that 69-cent tube of lipstick did wonders for me, didn't it? I remember being in a meeting when I was 6 months clean and sober. Well, actually, I was 5 months. And meeting this guy who said, can I take you home? And I looked at him because I had on my blue jeans, my boots, and my bebop hat. And I said, hell no. I kept looking for who he was talking to. It was me. And I said, no, he said, can I take this lady home or something like that? So I said, no, I can walk, you know. He said, fine, my program don't allow me to push myself on ladies today. That's when I started looking around. I thought, who are you talking to, you know? Anyway, about a month later, I saw him in another meeting, and didn't give me a ride home, but we sat beside one another, and I said, oh, Lord, what's going on here, you know? 18 months later, I walked down the aisles of a church, and this flowing, long white dress, and a big, long train, and that guy that I didn't want to take the ride from, there he was up there as the groom. Shocked the shit out of me. He showed up. I was getting married in Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, I had went from a radical 50 invitations, and I sent central office the invitation in my hometown. They all came. They all. How many people get the opportunity to say that central office showed up to your wedding? It was a trip. I walked out, there were like 200 people out there, and I said, where the hell all these people come from? I only have 50 invitations. And I had sent 25 of them back to Ohio. You know, and there they were. You know, here I was getting married in Alcoholics Anonymous. I just celebrated, this is March, but legally, I have to talk legality here, right? Legally, I was married to that man last month 10 years. You know? And next month we'll be living together 12. I want all my time, okay? I would like to tell you that our romance and our relationship has been one of, like Prince and Queens and shit. No, baby. What we have worked hard at it. We have fought like dogs in this relationship. We have struggled for power in this relationship. You see, my husband is sober longer than me on this program, okay? My husband has 14 years. He'll be 15 in June. And see, when he met me, he was 2.5 years sober. I was 6 months. So he had all the answers except that my husband was an AA bum. He was going to meetings, oh yes, he was going to every goddamn meeting you could name. Whenever he went to a meeting, he was there. But that's all he was doing. He was practicing some of the slogans. Easy does it. One day at a time. Live and let live. And that's all he was doing was letting live because he wasn't doing too much. Anyway, when we met, you know, it was like, wow, what's going on here? You know, he liked to play dominoes and stuff, and that's all he was doing. He wasn't working no job, still on the welfare, and I said, oh, goddamn. He had nerve enough to tell me, you don't know anything, you ain't sober long as I am. So I told him, I said, you know, if I had just about it, I'd blow my goddamn brains out. I said, it ain't about quantity, darling. It's about quality, and you need to take an inventory. I became the man's sponsor. You should see what I've done for him now. He's beautiful. He still don't do what I want him to do most of the time, but you know, women are patient. They usually come around. Let me quit that, because he hear this tape, he's going to have a fit. Most of it's true. You know, in Alcoholics Anonymous, they told me that I could do whatever I wanted to do, and I believed them. Because when Jerome and I were married, about a year, I wanted a baby, and you know, I physically couldn't have any children. And one of those brain attacks hit again. And I woke him up about 1 o'clock at night, and I said, honey, I want a baby. He said, well, what do you want me to do about it? So I don't know, but I want a baby. Anyway, the next day I got up and I called the Los Angeles Adoption Center, and woman of my caliber, can you believe me? I called him up, and this is what I said. Hi, my name is JoJo. I'm an alcoholic over here on 21st Street, and I want to know if you'll let me have one of your babies. Lady said, what? So I repeated it again. She said, would you like to come down for an interview? And I said, yeah. So my husband and I packed a little stuff together and went down there to one of their little introductory meetings, and we talked, and we were assigned a social And the thing that I'd like to share with you, I was playing around with him about 3 years ago with the Casio for Christmas. And he's been playing now for 2 years, and you should hear him. He just did a concert last Saturday, and he played John Denver's Leaving on a Jet Plane. He played Beethoven's Fifth Symphony and Pink Panther, you know, stuff like that. And I thought, I kept looking at that little boy, and I kept saying, that's my son. That's my baby, you know. And I have to instantly remember that he's just a gift, that he's not mine. You know, he is welcome. He was given to me as a gift for me to carry on, because it was a dream of mine to be fulfilled, and I believe that Alcoholics Anonymous and the God of my understanding gave me the opportunity to do that. And for that I'm grateful that they have allowed me to experience something like this. This blows me away, you know. I'm a mama. You know, I came in here, now you're talking about a radical change. I came in here a lesbian. I became a lady, a wife, and a mother. Now, I don't want to shock anybody out there, because not everybody gets struck straight when they come to Alcoholics Anonymous. So don't be scared. It was just in my genes to do that. It was a transition for me. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I love what it has done for my life. I love the way it makes me feel. I love the way that when I walk anywhere, my head is high. I know today that I walk in my own personal brand of dignity. And I know that the people of Alcoholics Anonymous allowed me to have that kind of freedom. Because of myself, I'm absolutely nothing. I could never have done this without you. No way, you know, to have gone through all of the things that I've gone through in sobriety and stay clean and sober. When there were times, it was just last week, that I wanted to die. You know, not only did I want to die, but I wanted to leave Jerome. I told him I wanted to pack my shit up and get out of here. I'm sick of you. And, you know, and life goes on, because there are times when me and Jerome are into our stuff, my name changes. You know, he don't call me JoJo. And there are times when his name changes. Matter of fact, I called him from Houston, and we've been in such an uncomfortable space all week, because one of the things that we've learned to do in our relationship is no matter how angry we get, we still sleep in the same bed. Nobody sleeps in no separate rooms, no shit like that. And I tell you, Wednesday night, if his feet had touched mine, I thought he would have jumped out the bed. I slept so close to the edge, you know. And I was talking to him last night, and he was saying, you know, I do love you, even though you are such stubborn, mean woman, you know. And I keep saying, no, you're the one who's stubborn and mean, you know, and you won't come. And all it is, if I really, really think about it and be honest, is that we're again in another power struggle of who's going to have the power in this household. And see, I don't know about you women, but I just refuse to let some man dominate me and say, I'm the master of this house. Now, that's no put down for the men. Now, don't get me wrong. It's just that I believe in equal rights. It's our house. I'm just as equal as you, and I have just as much rights to make these decisions as you do. As a couple, we should sit down and discuss. Try to discuss our communication problems and what kind of decisions that we need to make that's going to make our life better as a whole. And that's where I've been all week. And I would never come here and tell you, oh, my life is wonderful, and my husband is this and that. No, baby. No. Whatever it is, I appreciate the hell out of it because I've had to work to keep it. You know, I fought hard. Even my little boy last Wednesday was saying, Mama, I just hate it when you and Daddy argue and fight. I said, well, Daddy and I are not arguing and fighting. We're just having a little difference of opinion. Now, see, I learned that in Alcoholics Anonymous. Because, see, my old attitude would have been, well, let me tell you about your daddy. But you see, I don't need to put him down to make me look good. Because what good would he say? That boy loves that man last year's. I won't even say what I want to say. But he does, and I know he does. And see, it's up to me as a mother and as a wife to, no matter what goes on between Jerome and I, is to always build him up, because it's important that I remember that he is built up, you know. And for me, he's been a joy in my life. And I know today that my sobriety would not have been as sweet as it is if it had not been for the combination of my husband and my son being in my life today, you know. And I know that. Yeah, and that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to you people for being in my life. See, we've touched souls today. And no matter what you do, no matter what you say, you will never be able to throw this experience out of your life. Not today. No, I have that kind of profound effect on folks. And what it really is, that it's how you affect my life. It's what you've allowed me to do. I work for the federal government today. You know, I carry the mail. You know, don't like it, but I do. No, I'm not alive. But you see, a lot of things that we do in Alcoholics Anonymous, we do not because we like to, but because we have to sometimes. You know, everything leads to a better condition. I keep looking for my better condition, you know, because I know it's coming. I'm not even worried about it. And where I come from, if I stay in this job another 20 years, I can never equal to the pain that I was into when I was out there drinking and using. I'm rambling, so I know it's time for me to stop. But I have a poem that I like to read to you before I get down, because it's the poem that has been real, real dear in my life. Matter of fact, my friend used to say this poem, and he died of AIDS. But my friend used to say this poem every time he spoke, every time he got down. Now, he had it memorized. I don't have it memorized. I still read it off the back of his obituary. Okay, I still have it. But I'll never forget him. He's always will be a part of my life. And he died 11 years clean and sober in this program. And for that, I'm grateful for you allowing me to have that kind of privilege with William. It's called The Touch of the Master's Hand. 'Twas battered and scarred, and the auctioneer thought it was scarcely worth his while to waste much time on the old violin, but he held it up with a smile. What am I bidding, good folks, he cried. Who'll start the bidding for me? $1. Then two, only two? $2. Who'll make it $3? $3 once, $3 twice, going for $3, but no. From the room far back, a gray-haired man came forward and picked up the bowl. Then wiping the dust from the old violin and tightening the loose strings, he played a melody pure and sweet as a Carolinian angel sings. The music ceased, and the auctioneer, with a voice that was quiet and low, said, what am I bid for the old violin? And he held it up with the bow. $1,000. Who'll make it 2? 2,000. Who'll make it 3? 3,000 once, 3,000 twice, and going and gone, said he. The people cheered, but some of them cried, we do not quite understand. What changed its worth? Swiftly came the reply, the touch of the Master's hand. And many a man, with life out of tune and battered and scarred with sin, is auctioned cheap to the thoughtless crowd, much like the old violin. A mess's pottage, a glass of wine, a game, and he travels on. He is going once, he is going twice, and he's almost gone. But the Master comes, and the foolish crowd can never quite understand the worth of a soul and the change death brought by the touch of the Master's hand. Thank you. God bless you. Keep coming back.